So stoked on my way to the Ducati STREETFIGHTER V4S. Let's go do it. Good morning. Haven't been on the V2 since I took the V4 out, and I thought what I should do is talk about what we learned. What did we learn? You know what's so funny? I remember a year ago or so, a little bit more than a year ago, I knew I wanted more bike than the Monster. And so I took out the Monster SP with all the Olins and the Termi exhaust and all the cool stuff. And I remember thinking when I got back on my old bike, hey, it's a great bike. It wasn't enough difference. And so, of course, I was just out on the V4 2 days ago, and you know, a little bit different feeling. It's hard when you ride, you know, one bike and then you wait a couple days and ride another bike, but a couple like little finesse things with the fit and, you know, my bar position, because I've got this bike all set up for myself. But in the end, the truth is the V4 is so much more bike, not just in power, you know, from the top of this bike up, but in finish. The quick shifter is smoother, but such a great bike all around. And I don't know that I expected it to be so different. There's some traffic here. Welcome back to the V2. Same road, different day. Much colder today. But in that same stint in 5th gear on this bike, you know, at 235 or whatever that was, I was easily hitting 250 on the V4 in 4th gear at, you know, 10 or 12,000 RPM. So much more bike. I can't really rail through these corners like I did the other day at +4, because obviously don't have a lot of grip right now on the tires, but you know, at the slower speeds, I came through here the other day, 3rd gear 130. Here I am in 3rd gear at 110. Cold morning, like I said. I don't want to risk any frost under the bridge. For a bike that is the same weight, this feels so much lighter and so much snappier. You know, it is 1 centimeter shorter, so I don't know in the grand scheme that makes a big difference, but the bottom line is the feel is not what the tape says. So tail of the tape, I went through there at 20 or 30 kilometers faster on the V4 with no effort, like absolutely no effort. And V2, great bike, man. That would be pushing super high revs in 3rd gear to blast through there at 130 or 140. But it's interesting because it's kind of back to that story about, is a slower bike, if you can call a V2 with 150 horsepower slow, is the slower bike wound out at 9/10 or 10/10? Is it more fun, or is it, you know, is that a better experience than not using all the power on that V4? And I just want to say it's different. I think as a rider, I've been riding for well, my whole life for decades. And I think that V4 resets my limits of what's possible. You know, on every bike you can say, hey, I'm pushing through corners and winding out gears and revving up, but you really can't compare. That bike with minimal effort is faster than this bike all over the place. I guess that's the end of the video. So I guess if you haven't ridden a V4, what's the difference? The power curve is obvious. The torque in the V4 at 5,000 almost matches the total torque of a V2 and just winds up from there. So that bike in race mode, the tach actually starts at 5,000, and it's kind of a sign, unless you're coasting in slow traffic, it's a sign that you have to be 5,000 or more. And so maybe that's one of the deceiving things about this round dial and this tach on this bike, is I can see all the way down to 1. What if the V2 tach started at 5? Like, I've got some slower cars in front of me here, but then would we just ride it at 5 all the time as a minimum? Other than coasting through traffic, I actually do. So same road I was on the other day, a little more traffic on Saturday, I don't know why. I remember I was coming up here in fourth gear, you know, at 10,000 RPM, around 200. So that's a little different. Get my head down a little bit. So fifth gear, 10,000, 200s. Basically a gear slower than the V4. And everyone who's got a V2, you know this bike at 10,000, really 9 or 10, you know you're pushing it. Still super fun. That's wide open throttle, right to the bottom. I know. First world problems. Oh, it's harder to get to 250. What did we learn? Did we learn anything? It's pretty interesting, I think. Riding different bikes makes us ride differently and realize what we have when we get back on our own bikes. So did I learn V4 has more power? Of course it does. But did I learn I can push this V2 to a next level that maybe I haven't been? Yes, but does that mean the red line? So it's a fine line, wanting to do more with the same bike. I definitely have way more confidence on my V2 now that I've ridden a V4, and that may seem silly, but I just do. And not, you know, to downplay what a V2 is, but, you know, coming from a 937 to the V2, there was that intimidation factor of, well, this is way more bike. You know, I was gaining 40 more horsepower from that bike to this bike. Same story going to the V4, going up an extra, you know, 50 horsepower, 55 horsepower is intimidating for sure. But once you've been on it, maybe not so much. I guess coming into this whole process, after riding the V4S, was thinking, man, like, do I just need that and nothing else? But, you know, riding along with you guys and talking about this and just seeing what the differences are that, you know, are so appealing and that are so cool about that V4. Maybe it's just the motor. And I never really thought, you know, in the moment, hey, maybe if a V4S is out of my budget, I should just try the regular V4. And I also didn't realize it's about $4,300 difference between the two. So Maybe I just, you know, I'm asking more questions than giving you guys more answers. That's bike life. So definitely what I should do is get out on the regular V4 and take that for a blast and see if all the things I love about that V4, that torque curve is almost perfectly flat, it's never lagging, it runs very comfortably between 5,000 and, you know, 11,000 RPM, where this bike I'm maxing out at 11,000 RPM. And you probably saw I was hitting redline in fourth, where in that V4 I wouldn't have been shifting gears into, you know, fifth or even sixth to get to 250. I was at 250 in fourth gear in the V4. Maybe that's the answer. But thanks for coming along on this journey. Like I was saying, this may be my last day on the V2. It's beautiful today. It's a cool morning, but it's going up to about 20 degrees Celsius here. This week there's freezing temperatures coming, so probably putting this bike away and then just going to spend more time on the dual sport once the weather gets questionable, then do some dirt riding. So there you have it. Did we answer all the questions today? Nope. Did we wind out the V2? Yep. That was a blast. That was a good ride this morning. Let's do this all again soon. Ride safe. Thanks for watching. What do I have to do to make this thing wheelie? There we go. I need more practice. Definitely wasn't making that corner. Question for the chicken strip people. If you're going around corners at 180, do you need to lean over more? I don't think so.